For over a century, the Congolese people have been told what to do. For over a century, the native people haven't been given a chance to govern themselves. Since the late 1800s, when King Leopold II colonized Congo for himself, and later gave it to Belgium, the Congolese have been ruled by a dictator. And each and every one of these rulers has taken from the Congo. They have taken their natural resources, taken their lives, and taken their hope. They have taken all of this and given nothing in return. Then, in the late 1990s, civil war broke through the land and decimated the country further. Now, for the first time in a century, the Congolese have once again taken control of their land. But a century of oppression has left the Congolese unsure on how to lead, and struggling to maintain their grip on the country and the livelihood of the people. But this is not a story of despair. This is a story of giving. A story of standing. A story of building. A story of rebirth from the ashes of war. And a story of hope in a beautiful people. I can say with a strong level of certainty that I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Initially, all that I knew was that I was going to follow a medical mission team to a remote village called Kamina in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Apparently, under the leadership of Bishop Natambo, the North Katanga Conference of the United Methodist Church had been doing great things in a fallen land. When I left for Kamina, I knew they were working on developing a farm, though they knew little of farming. I knew that the region was beginning to rebuild since the war. I knew that our medical team was setting up a free clinic for the people, but in reality, I knew nothing else. Before the group reached Kamina, we flew from Johannesburg, South Africa, to the Democratic Republic of Congo's international airport in Lubumbashi. The reality of Congo set in as we saw the anti-aircraft weapons sitting at the end of the runway and armed soldiers camped around the airport. There we met Dr. Raymond Monde, a professor of English literature at the University of Lubumbashi. Raymond would be our guide and liaison for the rest of our stay, and would relate to us the trials that faced the Congolese.
Wow, the story of the Congo people. Right, it's a very long story. But in 1996, Kabila came from the east of the country with a war of liberation, as he called it. Then he overthrew Mobutu. Then Kabila came to power. But why did it happen this way? During the 90s, when Mobutu didn't accept the change for democracy come easily, and in resisting all the forces that was arousing from the population to oppose him, there happened even what was called as a massacre on the campus of the University of Lubumbashi. In a night, there was a commando that came to operate on the campus, and it was reported many students were killed. But officially, the government said one student was killed. But people think that there were many, but the government must have hidden all the way to identify how many students were killed. But from that, Congo was imposed an embargo, imposed to Mobutu and to the country. So the country has remained in isolation, and this has contributed to the total degradation and collapse of the economy of the country.
My first surprise came the next day when our small airplane touched down in Kamina. Expecting a desolate airstrip with little more than a transport vehicle waiting for us, I was astonished to find around 500 people celebrating our arrival with songs and dancing. In the truest Christian sense, because the team had come as servants, we were greeted as kings. It took the medical team several days to reach Kamina. So before setting up the clinic, they took the weekend to rest and readjust to their new surroundings and to follow the government and cultural protocol of getting permission from the district commissioner to start the clinic. But on Sunday, we all attended local churches, and later that afternoon they went to visit the clinic where they met Dr. Kasanka, a Congolese surgeon who would be leading the group, and the nursing students who would be assisting. The clinic is a temporary setup until the hospital is completed. However, after seeing their home for the next week, Raymond explained to the group another reason their visit was so vitally important to this community.
No, who built this? Who fixed this? It's you. You, the people, who came and pushed us. You said, we're going to help you, we're going to pray. We prayed. You showed us the dream of how change is to come to this country. The dream of how the children who are abandoned will find care for the people who love them. You preached love today in church, and you showed how we can open the circle to receive everybody instead of just excluding them.